Hello, everyone, and welcome to First Friday Lunch. It's been a while since we've done a First Friday lunch. We missed October and we missed November. October because I think we were doing lake stuff, and then November because I was at Author Nation and then I got sick. And so we did a Black Friday brunch with Amanda or A. Catherine Noon. That is, I'll link it in the show notes below. But basically, we did a Black Friday brunch because she's on the East Coast, and we talked about Author Nation. So if you're interested in that, I'll put the link below to that, and you can view it because I actually didn't tag it as an Author Nation one. Otherwise, I'm sure if you were to search on YouTube, you'd be able to find it. If this is your first time here, my name is Tina Holland, and every first Friday of the month, almost every Friday, because I missed the first Friday, I missed the last two. We get together. It's 11:30 Central Standard Time here, so we get together and we talk about what's going on with me personally, what I'm working on writing wise, what I'm reading, what I'm watching, those sorts of things. And today's hot topic is going to be writing through the holidays. And you guys know that I've done this a number of years where I will talk about whatever, but I thought I would walk you through what my routine looks like, and then like my daily routine or whatever, and how I start my day or whatever. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. Okay, so personal. I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually running low these days health wise. I was almost going to pre-record this just because I was going to we were going to go get our tree. I think we will do that this afternoon, but we were going to go cut one down because we have overgrown trees at our lakes anyway. So we have like a kind of a forest right behind us that we own. And so we had been cutting down trees out there, but my husband was like, I don't know that tree's nice enough. And I said, okay, but we're probably going to spend upwards of $50 on a live tree. So I'm hoping we can still get one that they're not too expensive, but fewer and fewer places sell live trees. So, and I'd much rather have a live tree than a fake tree, but I don't know, maybe I'll end up buying another fake one. So, anyway, so we're going to go get our tree this afternoon, and we're going to also go look at a tractor because my husband needs a new snowblower tractor. So, because ours just died, and we're also going to go pick up parts for that one so we can maybe fix it until we can get a new one. So those are some things we're doing. And then personally, like medical health wise, I'm doing pretty good. I'm running low more often than not. As a matter of fact, it's so weird because, when you go and you do the eye exams or whatever, I went in, I did that, and then they got these new glasses. If you look at my older videos, I have these black frame glasses with just like they're kind of horn rimmed on the top, and these are like a blue tortoise whatever. But I have noticed that I can actually do computer work now without my glasses on, which is like, are my eyes getting better? I don't know. The prescription actually didn't change, but I don't know if the shots helped like make my eyes better. So if you guys know, please share. I'd be very curious. Oop, I got a comment. Let's see who's here. If I had to guess, I knew it would be Barb. Good to see you, Barb. So Barb always pops in with the comments. All right. So personally, that's kind of what I got going on. What am I watching and reading? So books, I just got done. I'm listening to Fourth Wing Onyx Storm, the first part, but I spoiler alerted myself, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to finish it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm listening to it. I kind of listen to it right before I go to bed. So I like the graphic audio version, so I'm listening to that. I just got done reading a bunch of Kathy Maxwell books. I love Kathy Maxwell, and I read a bunch of her Seduction and Scandal series. There's like 2 of them in there that I kind of like, so I read those. I'm reading a book, Pursuing Lord Pascal by Caroline Lee. And then I also got done reading a bunch of Joanna Lindsay books. I don't know what happened, but in November, like early November, I think it was like early November, like right after I got back from Author Nation, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's HarperCollins everywhere, but at least on my Nook, there were a bunch of Joanna Lindsey books for free. And I do like Joanna Lindsey. Some of her books, some of them, I'm not as much into the Western, like she did like a American Western series. I'm not as into those, but I love like a lot of the Mallory series and a bunch of them. And so I picked up a bunch of books that I wouldn't have normally gotten and put them on my e-reader because they were just straight up free. That lasted for like a week, but I got some Kathy Maxwell. I got some Beverly Jenkins. I got a few books that were on my wish list that I hadn't been able to pick up or whatever. So that was kind of exciting. TV, I'm watching like my normal TV schedule, but my husband and I, right around Thanksgiving, we watched the entire American Revolution series, Ken Burns' American Revolution series on PBS. And I'm not normally a fan of Ken Burns' documentary, but the cast, like the cast ensemble, Samuel Jackson, Mandy Patinkin, Ethan Hawke, Maya Hawke, there were like a bunch of people, Claire Danes, there were a ton of people, Josh Brolin, Tom Hanks, ton of people in the cast. And it was really quite interesting. Like we were kind of riveted. And the reason I say I don't necessarily like Ken Burns documentaries, because it is like a lot of photos with the narrator and there's very little action moving on. So you look at photos and paintings and stuff like that. So, but I thought the cast was great. I was like, hey, that sounds like, I recognized Mandy Patinkin's voice first. He does Ben Franklin. And so we were kind of riveted to that, like all of Thursday and all of Friday, Thanksgiving and Black Friday last week. So that was, it was pretty good. So that's kind of what I've been like watching or whatever. Okay, a little bit, we're going to talk about a little bit about writing through the holidays, and I normally cover you on what I'm writing anyway. So I finished up How to Love a Lord. It's going to go ahead and go through to my editor, Sandra, in January for a second round of edits. I completed all the first rounds. It was kind of silly. I got them back in May, and I forget how little time I have in the summer months with us working. And I wasn't able to do the edits. And a lot of it was deep POV. And I struggle with that particular aspect anyway. So I went ahead and kind of finished them up, got them done. I sent it through to a couple of beta readers. I'm still waiting on a couple more, but I just said, Sandra, do you have any time available? I'd like to release it around February, hopefully February 14th. But I think this will be good because I think she said she's got space end like January 15th, but I'm going to give it to her January 1st in case she squeezes me in. So I got a month to go ahead and read through and see what I like, what I don't like. Sometimes when I write, even when I do edits, I find a lot of echoes, which is like, you'll see, like you'll use the word, oh, it was a big scandal. And the scandal was, and you'll have those like words next to each other. So it's an echo. And like, if you were to verbally read it, you'll catch it. But I sometimes see them better. So because they're so close together in a sentence. So I will go ahead and get rid of those. And I sometimes have a lot of them because for me, it's more important to get just the words out because I can edit it later. And I'm surprised she found echoes, but she didn't find that many. I think my critique group caught most of the echoes as I write. So because in my critique group, we give each other stuff when it's pretty raw. Like, I just wrote this chapter. What do you guys think? Like, I wrote How to Humble a Highlander is going to be my next book. And so I wrote the first chapter of that, and that's what I'm going to be working on this month. So let's talk about writing through the holidays. So I thought what I would do is I talk about this every year, like writing through the holidays, as you can go back and look at last year's video or the year before. And I always talk about kind of giving myself some grace and a break, because traditionally, in the traditional book publishing market, the traditional publishers kind of closed down. Like if you wanted to query a book right now, they wouldn't take anything until January, like 1st of January, mid-January, something like that is when they will take work. But they don't generally take it during the holidays. And the holidays can sometimes be November 1st, or not November 1st. It can be December 1st. It can be Black Friday if it's a US publisher. If it's a Canadian publisher, it might just be the last week. But generally, I've always taken a break. And when I was let go from my corporate job, I happened to be let go on November 30th. And I did the same thing. And so even since I've not had a job, like I never wrote or submitted anything when I had a corporate job. But when I didn't have one, I still slowed down because you're doing a lot of running around. You're doing a lot of, going to kids choir concerts, Christmas programs, family events. If you have large family and they're far apart, sometimes you're doing celebrating Christmas like November. Some people do it on like Thanksgiving weekend. I've seen that because their family's coming in and they're so far away from each other or whatever. Or you're doing it on like December 15th or something. So for me, it was always like, let's just take our time or whatever. But because I'm working on the third book in this series and probably going to be editing, my self-editing, all that is a read through to see if I catch anything before I send it to her. That's not going to be that in depth. And I literally download it to my e-reader, or if you wanted to, you could print it out, or if you're publishing it, you could go to Amazon and do, you just order the proof without setting a publishing date, because that's one of the things that'll let you do. So you go ahead and you put a date way, way out there, make sure like a year out, and then you can go ahead and do the proof or whatever and get it, and you can mark it up that way. So my friend, Vanya Roll does that. She will go ahead and order a proof in and mark it up and then publish it. And I don't know that I'd have to look. I think she does pre-orders or excuse me. I think she does pre-orders. So, but maybe not. I guess I'll have to look and see. But what she'll do is order that proof copy and go through it, partially because it looks different in print, and also because she wants to make sure it's okay. I actually didn't do my proof copies until like I didn't order proof copies. Like I ordered them, but it was going to be published within like days. So when I got the digital proof copies, I kind of sent them out for reviews and then went through and found errors. And then I had to go in and correct those errors with Ingram Spark and Amazon. And I think with Ingram now, it used to be that you had to pay like $25 every time you had to change something. But nowadays, they will let you change it, I think, within 90 days of publication. I think it's 90. So if you can catch them right away, you can go in and change it for nothing. So, and Amazon will always let you re-upload the book. So you can always change it on Amazon. So those are the things I'm going to be working on. So my day starts off, like I get up in the morning and I get up somewhere between 7 and 9. It depends on how late I stay up the night before. And since I don't have a corporate job, I can kind of do that. So I don't like to be getting up as late as 9 because I would really like to be in chair at 9 o'clock. But what I'll do is I'll wake up, I'll have breakfast. By 9 o'clock, if that's not the time I woke up, I will be up here, butt in chair, and I will be, I go through. First thing I do is I write my morning pages, which if you've never heard of that is a Julia Cameron concept where you write pages in the morning and it's 3 longhand pages. So, but I've seen people do different variations of this. The best way to think of it is journaling. And I always journal before I write. If I don't get to this desk until 12 o'clock, like noon, I will journal before I start writing. And that's just to clear everything out of my head. And everything is mundane, as like Ken and I are going to go and pick out our tree today, or it's going to be something like, these are the things I have to do, or yesterday I felt sick. It's journaling basically, right? Dear diary. That's what my husband, whenever he sees me with my journal, he's like, dear diary. so that's the first thing I do. And that's to like basically clear my head. The next thing I will do is I go through and I check all my emails and all my social stuff. And that seems counterintuitive, but I do a lot of stuff for like Writers and Garden, Moorhead Friends Writing Group, BizMan, not as much, and some author. I'm doing some more Author Nation kind of things now too. So one of the things I do is I do like newsletters for these groups. And then I also do, for a couple of them, I do the book ordering for the group. And so I have to go through and I have to see, well, what do I have to get done today? And that includes my own personal stuff, uploading. I have to upload Fireproof at some point this month. I have to go through it, update it, and upload it. And then I have to do edits and whatever. So, but a lot of that business stuff, that's the first thing I do. And I take about, I want to say I take about 30 minutes to an hour to do that. And then once I've done that, then I go ahead and I start writing. And my preferred method of writing is sprints. And so I will either look to see if anybody's running a sprint on YouTube, which Heart Breathings does a lot. SD Huston does a lot of sprints on YouTube. And then I'm also a member of the Romance Writers Group, and they will do sprints throughout the day on Zoom. And so we'll like get together and we're kind of like, theirs are about 45 minutes, but I have found sprinting to be the best method for me to get my work done. And so I set a goal this month to write 250 words a day. I haven't even come close because a lot of times some of these tasks will just eat up my day. And so my goal is to get 250 words a day. I can do 200 in about 30 minutes. So it shouldn't take me that long to do them. But because of the editing that I'm going to be doing on Lord, and then these 250 words are really going to count to How to Humble a Highlander. So that's the thing that I want to go ahead and focus on, is getting my works done. But I also have a project that I submitted for Author Nation. So whenever that comes through, which I think is going to be January, I suspect that's going to eat up a lot of time. So one of the things that they are doing is next year, Andy Weir is going to be their attending author. He wrote The Martian, if you don't know who Andy Weir is. And they're doing a comic book anthology. And I submitted a proposal because I haven't written the story. My friend A. Catherine Noon, they wrote the story and submitted it. But I wrote a proposal because I'm like, I can write the story pretty fast. And it's not even a story, it's panels. So it's different than like writing a story. So I was like, well, I'll do this, and then I will see if they take it, then I'll write the story. I already have an idea for the story because I kind of brainstormed it out. I'm like, this would be a good story if it would be something interesting for people to look at visually as a comic book. And then if it doesn't, but you wouldn't be required to read all my other stuff. Like if you are not into romance, you wouldn't be required to read it. So it's called the Brass Beasts of Alchemia. And that's the title of the book. or maybe it's the Brass Beasts of Archangel. It might be the Brass Beasts of Archangel. And so I'll have to look and see what the title is, but I propose that. And so we'll see if I get accepted. And then if I do, I'll be working on that in probably January, February, up until whenever they're done. But if I don't, I might just write a little short story or work with, like, my daughter's a pretty good artist. Maybe we could do a comic or something. So we'll see. But yeah, I guess the other thing is if I had written a short story like Noonie did, then I would probably be able to just use that story for something else, which they plan on doing. Like if they don't end up not getting picked up for the comic, they can just use the short story. So, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just make it a short story. But it ties into my gas lamp series, which is Steampunk's Fairy Cousin. It ties into that series, but it's not integral to the series. It's just like a little background or a little history or whatever. So that's one of the things I'm working on, is just trying to get those 250 words in a day and see if I can. That's better. Okay. See if I can get those done. So let's see, minutes, go through my tasks. And then, my goal is to write 250 words a day. And I think I can probably do it because I'd like to get at least the first chapter is done, which in most of my print books, I will put that at the end of the print book. I ended up having an issue with Amazon because I went over the pages and How to Love a Lord, or How to Marry a Major. I went over the page limit for the cover flat. And so I had to take out the first chapter of the next book, but I might, since my cover artist still hasn't made the cover flat for this because she needs the page numbers in order to make the flat. And so I will probably have her redo that flat, or I might change the font size. I don't want to make it too small because I find that super annoying if it's too small. And so I might do that, where I might have her add pages in or see how many I actually need in order to get it the size I want. I could probably resize it myself using Book Brush, but I don't really want to. I'd rather have her do it because it just looks more professional. So I'll probably have her do that. And then the other thing is, if I can get those 250 words, then I should be pretty well into the first act if I can get it done, because I think, let me do some calculations really quick on we don't have that many days left, but got like 25 days left. So would that be it'd be 5,000 words, am I right? I'm just doing that in my head. So 250 times 25. Oh, 6,250. So that's how many words I would have if I kept going, like starting today to the end of the month, I'd have 6,000 words written on that manuscript, which would put it at, I think there's like 1,300 right now. So if I do 1,300, 7,550. That's pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. And then I do the edits on How to Love a Lord in January so I can get it released in February. Ironically, it's going to be released almost 2 years after How to Marry a Major. And part of that is just because of the edits took so long this time. I think I was done in like March or April. Like I had just finished doing it and I was done, and I sent it over to Sandra. Couldn't get in. I might have been done even earlier, and she just couldn't get me in until May. And that happens with editors and cover artists. Sometimes you got to book your spots. So as soon as I hit the end, I already I contacted her and said, okay, are you available to edit? And she was like, oh yeah, sure. So she went ahead and got me in, but then I just wasn't planning on having to do edits / rewrites over the summer, and that just took longer. So I think I was technically done in October, like early October this year, but I sent it through to beta readers, and 2 of them got back to me and 2 of them haven't yet. So yeah, it was like end of October when I submitted and said, hey, are you guys able to? And I really don't need it until November. And so I'm sure life just got crazy, which is fine. So I might just ping him and say, hey, would you have it before the end of December? If not, that's okay. But I'd like to, particularly because they're both so good at it. So, and it might be they're going through it with a fine tooth comb. I'll have to see. But once I get it back from them, then I can go ahead and do the formatting and all that stuff. I might start doing the formatting anyway, just so I have an idea, so I can give that to Melody, my cover artist, so that by the time Sandra's done, all I have to do is make those quick changes and then release the book. But I won't put it up for pre-order until I'm done doing that, because otherwise you can end up with like problems, because you can go to Amazon jail if you put up pre-order and then you don't release it. So, which is why a lot of authors just do all their edits, and once it's done, they upload it. They don't do pre-orders or anything like that. So pre-orders are good for your ranking, because when people order that book before it's released, all those count towards the sales on the first day. So will sometimes help your ranking day one, if you're able to do that. So, but some people don't, because they don't want to end up in Amazon jails. They're like, nope, I don't want to do it, because if they were to put it out for pre-order and then not release it, then Amazon will ding you. And I don't know if it's like a 3 strikes you're out, or somebody once said it's like one, and then you have to wait a whole year before they'll let you set up pre-orders again, which if you're a slow writer, that may not matter. Or if you don't, if you're putting out like large tomes and it takes you over a year to write them, maybe that would be okay, I guess. I don't know. But for me, I'm just like, I just wait till all the edits are done. So, and I went back and forth on whether or not to do a second round edit, because as far as like, I did better this time on the titles and the entailment, like getting my lords and ladies right, and inheritance. That's what entailments means, is like the inheritance structure that they have in England. And so I did better this time. Not perfect, but a lot better than I did on How to Marry a Major. So that's worth it just to send it over for that. But then, yeah, because I think I did better on that stuff, which I really needed help on in the first book, then it became like, let's go deeper into this POV. What's he really thinking? And I come from a background of novella writing where there's a lot more dialogue and action and less introspection. So yeah, and I got better at setting too. And part of that is because of my critique group, because they're kind of like, where are they? What are they wearing? What's, where are they standing? All that kind of stuff. So that was better. But I think that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. Do you have any questions or comments before I let you get back to your day? If not, I will just put up the next First Friday lunch will be January 2nd at 11:30. So go ahead and pencil me in for lunch. All right.